Hello and welcome to this episode of the Cloud Gaming Report. So in today's video, I have a couple different news topics relating to cloud gaming. Not all these topics are from this week, but since this is the first episode, I was going to go back a little bit and grab some major news topics. So one of the first topics I wanted to talk about before I dig down to these news articles is that Shadow has officially launched in the US. That happened a couple weeks ago, but I just wanted to share that with everybody that might not have heard. I do have a couple of videos on Shadow, so if you are subscribing to this channel, or you've seen this channel, you likely have seen those videos. But if not, maybe go check those out. I talk about my first impressions with Shadow, and also I go through a walkthrough of how to set up Shadow, which is a very simple process, and talk about the hardware specs within the Shadow machine in that second video. So outside of that fact that Shadow was launched in the US, it was originally launched in France. It's been available in Europe for a little while, but is now available in the US, and it's a pretty good service. It's more aimed at hardcore gamers because it does have a pretty steep monthly price at $40 per month, but that does include a very powerful machine and includes an unlimited number of hours of use, which is very good if you are a more hardcore gamer that games probably every night and games a couple hours for every session. That'll easily pay for itself in comparison to pricing with the hourly services like Paperspace. If you are still a more casual gamer like me, who might only game a couple nights a week and might have a 2 or 3 hour gaming session in those couple nights a week, then an hourly service is definitely probably much cheaper for you in the long run. But in terms of performance, so far I've been testing Rainbow Six Siege with Shadow, and it seems to be very close to the Paperspace P5000 tier. In some cases it's slightly better, and in some cases it's slightly worse, but neck to neck in comparison to performance. So really the judgment comes into how many hours you play per week. Will decide which service you really should fall under, whether it's something like Shadow, which is going to cost more but is going to pay for itself in terms of the hourly cost in the long run, or something like Paperspace if you are a more casual gamer. So moving on to our news topics that I'm going to be discussing in today's video, I first want to start with Microsoft's new cloud gaming division, and let me adjust to the correct screen. So Microsoft is starting a cloud gaming division as it gets ready for the future of their gaming department beyond just Xbox. We've seen for a little while that Microsoft has been seeming to put a little bit more focus on gaming. They've developed their Game Anywhere service. I think that's what it's called. Please correct me if I'm wrong. But they have the Play Anywhere. Where certain titles you could buy them on the Xbox and still play them on the PC for free without having to buy them both on the Xbox and on the Windows Store, which is definitely a cool service. There's just not a lot of games that are supporting that. It's mostly Microsoft games and a couple third-party games. And then even more recently, they launched the Xbox Game Pass, which includes a whole bunch of games. Most of those are older games, but they did announce recently that all first-party games would be available in the Game Pass, which is a Netflix-like experience for gaming, not in the fact that you're streaming, but in the fact that you have access to a whole bunch of content for a low monthly price. So for $10 a month, you have access to a whole host of games that you can download and play. Like I said, most of these games are older games. All the third-party games are pretty much older games, but Microsoft is going to be launching all their first-party games directly on the Game Pass. So for $10 a month, that'll definitely pay for itself if you do play a wide variety of games and play a lot of games that Microsoft is supporting or is developing themselves first party. The first game that I know of that's supporting it is Sea of Thieves, which is pretty big right now and it's pretty cool. And Sea of Thieves is also a Play Anywhere title. So with the Xbox Game Pass, you can also not only play this on your Xbox for $10 a month, but you can also play it on the PC. And with this announcement that Microsoft is working on a cloud gaming division, I could easily see the Xbox Game Pass evolving to not something you play mostly on your Xbox, but also on your PC with Play Anywhere titles, but actually an app similar to what we have with the GeForce Now or something like Shadow or Parsec, where it was more like GeForce Now, where you have a more limited library instead of like Parsec, where you actually just have a cloud machine that can play any game from any library. It is going to be a limited library still, but I could see the future of Xbox not being a physical box anymore, but actually being a cloud service that you might even be able to play on this Sony PlayStation, possibly even. Who knows what the future will really entail for Xbox. or for Microsoft in general. And for a while now, we've known that, at least in the early part of these console generations, that Microsoft and Sony don't really make a lot of money on the hardware itself. In fact, they generally lose money or break even. In the best case scenarios, they break even, at least when the hardware is brand new. But they tend to make that money up in game sales that they've worked on with first party. And of course, they have all the third party games that they have a little bit of licensing fees and things along those lines, where they make a little bit of money on it too. So on that note, I could definitely see the future of Xbox, maybe not the next Xbox, but maybe the Xbox 2 series down the line, not actually being a physical box, but simply being a software that you can download on your computer. And there might still be an Xbox box, but that might be something more akin to a Roku, which is just a lower powered device that you can plug into your TV. You'll have the Xbox app, of course, but you might also have like Netflix and Amazon Video and everything you have on your Xbox now. But it will be a much lower powered device because it's not having to render all the gameplay and everything locally. It's streaming everything from the internet, just like it does with Netflix. And I definitely could see Microsoft going that route in the future and incorporating that into their Xbox Game Pass. So it'll be very interesting to follow along with this and see how it evolves. For the most part, I'm not really a huge fan of cloud gaming in a restricted environment, but something that might bring console gaming to PCs is something that might be welcome still, simply from the fact that there are a lot of games that I played when I was younger, like Halo and Gears of War, that I'm still fond of, but I don't play as much simply because they're on console anymore. Even though I have an Xbox One, I rarely play games on it. It's mostly as an entertainment device, but I do occasionally stream the games from my Xbox One to my PC and play those games from my PC, just because when I'm in my geek environment, I'm in a zone that I play games more rather than on the TV. Anyways, though, I digress. That's way off topic. But anyways, Microsoft is launching a cloud gaming division. So it'll be very interesting to see where that goes to in the future. Moving on to another cool news topic. This one's about a week old now. But Parsec is now supported on Simplay's cloud gaming machines. This is a very cool piece of news and something I actually hope is a trend that continues. There are a lot of cloud gaming services popping up right now, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's kind of, on one hand, it's a bad thing just because there's so many hardware options, so many hardware tiers. Some of those are not great values for your money, while some are. But by eliminating the software side of things, they can at least have an experience that is consistent and has a flawless streaming process, and it's really based upon the hardware that's in the machines and how close that data center is close to you in terms of proximity. And that is a good thing about having more cloud gaming services pop up. Hopefully they're not all in the exact same location. Having data centers spread out is going to be what's ideal to moving cloud gaming forward. If the closer you are to your data center, theoretically you will have better latency. That's not always the case, simply because internet is not always, the network routes or broadband infrastructure, the tier 1 line, or the big lines that connect the big data centers in the background, not the lines that, running all throughout your town, but the big lines that connect the major data centers, the internet highways, I guess you could say, aren't necessarily things that run as the crow flies. If you've ever looked at a map, they're actually quite fascinating. If I was a thinking head, I probably would have pulled that up already, but I can't pull one up just out of thin air because I don't know exactly where the last one I was looking at was located. But if you look at the network maps, they're not necessarily always the one that's physically located close to you, but having more data center options that are spread out is definitely going to be a good end option for you as a gamer. And having a streaming client that is dead rock steady, like Parsec is in terms of streaming, and also has some very cool features such as the ability to co-play with Parsec, will make the cloud gaming experience better overall. For instance, Liquid Sky is a good option for a budget cloud gaming option. The gamer mode isn't too useful for most games that are popular. There are some indie games and some games that are less demanding that the gamer mode works with on Liquid Sky, but most games don't run well on the gamer mode simply due to the very low hardware specs that it has, with a low number of CPU cores, very little RAM, and very little VRAM, and only 2 gigabytes of VRAM. It rules out a lot of games from being played on gamer mode. But the Pro mode is still a very good option in terms of the hourly cost, and is a decent option. You're not able to play on fully blown out specs. You're not able to play games on modern games on ultra, but you can take the settings back to high or medium and have a very good 1080p 60 FPS experience. But the big thing with Liquid Sky right now is the software is not good at all. They had a big update really about a year ago now, and they haven't really improved their client over that whole entire time. In fact, features have actually disappeared from the client more than features have been added. So some examples of this: when they launched Liquid Sky version 2.0, they added the ability to earn credits through ads, which wasn't technically a great idea. I see what they're trying to do, but it wasn't something that worked well. A lot of times, if you wanted to watch an ad, you couldn't because all the ads were taken up, and then the ads weren't great, really, and it wasn't something that entirely made a lot of sense. Didn't have a good payout. And it's something more akin to like the ads on Twitch, where you get a couple bits. So you got a couple minutes of gameplay. It was decent, but it wasn't. I didn't see it really sticking around, and it did end up disappearing after a while. But in terms of improvements to their software, they haven't really made much for their streaming client, at least not from the end user experience. For example, there's an annoying mouse bug that still is persistent since they launched this version of Liquid Sky over about a year ago now. I don't know exactly when 2.0 launched. I have a video on it, so if I went back to my video history, I'd be able to tell you exactly when, because I did a video not too long after it released. But with Liquid Sky 2.0, there's a mouse bug. I think it might have been persistent in the previous version, but maybe they had fixed it and now it came back. I don't exactly remember, but I know it's been there since 2.0 launched and it's been there for an entire year, where games won't engage the gamer mouse mode. So, like when you're playing a game, the mouse won't actually be a standard mouse that you see over here that's overlaid. It'll kind of grab the mouse, and normally the mouse stays centered in the screen, and it becomes your crosshair if you're shooting a gun or something along those lines, and you can move your mouse around. And if you're moving left to right, it'll keep on going all the way to the left. If you go to the right, it'll start panning over to the right, in instances like that. It'll work like you're used to it working. It's hard to describe just because you're used to it working that way until it doesn't. And that's where you're supposed to enable gamer mouse mode, and by hitting the F12 key in Liquid Sky, sorry. But it won't engage in a lot of games. Some good examples of this are PUBG and also Rainbow Six Siege. The F12 key won't engage the mode. So there's a very easy and simple workaround by having another app that will engage the gamer mouse mode, such as what I always use is Chrome. So I always run Chrome. It just became a habit now. When I launched Liquid Sky, I just launched Chrome. Then I launch the game that I want to play. And then if I have this bug, I alt-tab to Chrome, hit F12, it'll engage gamer mouse mode. I can go back to the game, and now I can actually engage and disengage gamer mouse mode as it should work. But this is a silly workaround that is not a good end user experience. And if you're not used to troubleshooting weird things with PCs, and maybe you're not a tech savvy, you just want to play your games, this is going to be an issue that's going to really frustrate you and give you the impression that cloud gaming sucks. And that's why having a cloud gaming streaming software like Parsec that is really rock steady and rock solid in terms of the streaming quality and the cool features that they're working on is really beneficial. So I definitely applaud Simplay for this. I might try checking out their service. I just have so many that I'm testing right now with Shadow, Paperspace, and Liquid Sky. I don't want to add too many, just simply because I don't want to overwhelm myself by having to spend a month testing one game. It's because I have to install it on all these services, actually play it enough to get a good feel of whether it's good, if there's any bugs like the one I was just talking about. But I might check it out at least to play a couple games and maybe not incorporate it into my daily or my benchmark videos that I do, but maybe just have it as a one-off video. But anyways, it is very cool news to see. So the final thing I want to talk about, because this video is already getting decently long, is let's open Parsec. Where is Parsec at? Okay, so this was a feature that was added a while ago, but I never made a video on it. I intended. I got busy. I had a lot of other videos came up that I had ideas for, and I never got a video made on it. But this is just a feature that you might not be aware of, and you might not use the co-play feature, but it is a very cool feature, and maybe you haven't heard about this feature, Parsec. But it's a very cool feature where you can have friends, and I hope Enderman doesn't care that I'm sharing this. But anyways, you can see that you can have friends on your Parsec list, and you have different levels of permissions. This is just the basics of what we're going to see here in a second with that I'm going to talk about in a second. That's actually really, really cool. But this makes you a little bit more, I guess, safe feeling, I guess, peace of mind. It gives you some peace of mind about sharing your computer with other people that are semi-random people that you've just met online. They might be, you might have talked to them a little bit. They might be decent, online friends, but it's still not a person you haven't really met. You might not have known them for very long, and you might be kind of hesitant about giving some person on the internet access to your computer. So these kind of levels of permissions give you a little bit more peace of mind and safety when you're playing with other people on the internet and giving them permission to actually use your computer and play different split screen games. A lot of RPGs, or some RPGs, have co-op on them, and it's a very cool feature that they're working on to make it seem like two people that aren't in the same house are still together. And when I was younger, playing games on consoles, which that seems to be a fade that's going away, a trend that's going away, having split screen in console games. But that was an awesome experience, getting your friends together and playing a split screen game. This isn't going to be exactly the same, but maybe you have a group of friends that have moved to a certain town, and some of you are still back in your hometown. So maybe two of you could get together at one guy's house or girl's house, and then two of you get together at the other friend's house. So you might have two batches of people, but you can all join to a single computer and still have that split screen experience to a degree. You can set up webcams maybe on a separate monitor and still have that split screen experience to a degree. And it's a different experience. Even playing online with your friends is still a different experience than a split screen experience, where you can see your friends' screens. You have that age-old screen cheating and things like that. Or if you're playing a cooperative game, the ability to check out what your buddies are doing and use that knowledge to influence your decisions to better play the cooperative game. So with the permissions, you can have it set where they can ask to co-play, so they can only co-play unless you give them express permission, or they can co-play without your approval. So if it's a close friend, you can check that box, and whenever you're playing a game, as long as you have hosting turned on, they can jump to your computer and play with you without having to ask your permission every time. In addition, you can give them control to just a controller, or also access to your keyboard and mouse. So that was just kind of the beginnings I wanted to cover, because I haven't ever done a video on it. But what's really cool is in the hosting settings, there are now approved apps. So I've just made the Photos app an approved app just as a demonstration. But there's now apps that if you turn the setting on, only apps in the approved apps list will be visible to your people that are joining your computer, and they will only be able to interact with those apps. So this is very cool, and it further increases your peace of mind of allowing people that you might not be super good friends, or you might not have a super high level of trust of. It might be an internet acquaintance, but giving them access to your computer to play games, to play cooperative or split screen games together with. And it gives you that extra level of peace of mind by only giving them access to certain apps. So it's a very cool feature that Parsec has enabled, and it definitely is an example of why Parsec has some of the best streaming software. I know that like Shadow, for instance, is working on H.265 encoding, which will definitely change the game in terms of the compressing and decompressing the video stream. And in terms of that, it might definitely make Shadow a better piece of software for the graphical fidelity of your stream. But all these cool features actually add up to be something very cool, and I'm definitely very interested to see where Parsec takes this from the future. But those are just a couple examples of some of the cool features that Parsec has enabled with their software. So that's pretty much it for today's video on what's going on with cloud gaming. Hopefully you found this video interesting. If you did, give it a big like. I greatly appreciate that. Also, if you're not already an existing subscriber, just make sure to smash that subscribe button. Also, check out the links below for other ways to interact with me. I plan on having this as a weekly video that I actually have other topics over on my Twitch channel, and I'll take the topics and segment those out. For example, this video topic will be segmented out as a cloud gaming video that I'll release to my YouTube channel as a separate video, and the Twitch channel though will have a longer, it'll be one solid stream, and it'll cover other topics. I plan on covering topics like 3D printing, different Synology news possibly, and just tech news in general, and maybe have like just some chat with the Twitch channel in general. So if you want to view the live version of this, I plan on having that stream every Wednesday, and I have a little timer or schedule on my Twitch channel, so possibly check that out too. So thanks for watching, guys, and until next time, Zach out.